Hey guys, welcome to a good old-fashioned repot and chat. Today's topic is, I'm trying not to clap right in front of the mic. Today's topic is YouTube. So my experience on YouTube over these past 2.5 years, what that's looked like, what I think about the community, answering some of your questions, recommendations for anyone who's looking to start a channel, especially in the plant community. I've been wanting to do this as a repot and chat topic for a while because even after 2.5 years, I still get weirded out that I have a YouTube channel. And also I have a lot of thoughts, but I don't get to talk about it a lot in my day-to-day. Really, the only people that I talk about YouTube in depth with is like Charmaine and Jing, my friends who are on YouTube, because they kind of understand it, but I don't like to talk about it with my non-plant friends. And even for them to know that I have a YouTube channel, still I find it like really cringe. I don't like my coworkers and my friends knowing that I have a YouTube channel. So I figured this would be a nice safe space for me to discuss my thoughts. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I don't really know what I'm doing. I've been kind of just stumbling my way through this over the last 2.5 years, and it's been a lot. I feel like I learned a lot, but nowhere did I have a really strong vision, a really strong trajectory I knew I wanted to follow. I didn't have a big grand plan for this channel, and I've just kind of been going with the flow. So really that's what this video is. But I figured it's a topic that interests me, so hopefully we can chat our way through repotting some plants. I have like a small list of plants, and if we run out of plants, I'll grab more, but that's really the only planning I've done ahead of time, other than I've asked you guys on Instagram to submit some questions, so I will be taking from that. So as usual, I'm going to show you the plants we'll be repotting, and then we're going to get right to work. So here's what I've picked. So these two are little Ace Carla sample packet. I wasn't expecting to get this one so soon. I was going to trade my friend for it, but she just like gave me her half of the trade before I'd even cut my half of the trade. So this is Ace of Spades Carla. This one I'm pretty sure was bred by Juan. This one has such a beautiful rich dark green color. The mother plant is a lot darker than this and has such beautiful like pink veins. They come out in this like nice starburst pattern. So I just know that I'm gonna adore this plant. It's already really well rooted in the moss, and I want to repot it today because it's in moss and I don't want to grow it in moss. And then this Ace Carla is a little prop from the one we got from Woohoo Tropicals. I don't know what happened here. I really don't know. This almost looks like spider mite speckles, but I don't think that it is based on that pattern. It's just like in one little strip. This one was a butt cutting of the one from Charmaine. So Charmaine has a mother plant. She gave me a stump and it's grown 2 little growth points. So I think it's ready to separate now. So I'm gonna separate this growth point from this growth point, pot them separately. 2 medium plants I want to upsize. These 2 are the HU red crystals that I got from Randy, or Ardian plants on Instagram. So this one I imported a month and a half ago or 2 months ago or something like that. This one has been growing in ambient. This one has been growing in my tent. They've been kind of growing at the same pace, but they've like pretty much filled out the pots. This one definitely has more roots in the pot, so they're ready to be upsized. I could boat mode this one because it lives out here and there's a little bit more space. I don't think I can boat mode this one though, because this one lives inside my tent and I don't really want to move it out here just because I'm dealing with pests right now. I think I'm just gonna get this into the next size up, but this one I could potentially get into really big pot. I'm gonna see how I feel while I'm repotting it, and after I look at the roots. And in case this is the first time I ever heard the term boat mode, it's just literally getting a pot upsized to like a comically large pot. So if I put this into like a 9-inch pot, that would be boat mode, because right now it's in like a 4-inch pot. And the idea is that for anthuriums, I've observed that when you do this, they have a lot of room to stretch their roots, and then you get like a much more significant upsize in the leaf growth after that. By the way, all of those are going into tree fern soil, so like my mixture of tree fern fiber and like a soil aeroid mix. This one I want to get into a bigger size pot. This one is a red crystallinum Wu 5 crossed with Wu 8. This leaf expanded so cute and it's so veiny. I don't know if the red is picking up on camera, but it does have red veins. Definitely in person, that midrib is a really nice bright pink. So I want to get it at least into the next size up. I wanted to mature as fast as possible because I'm seeing like very good potential in the color for these, and I just want it to mature faster so I can see how red they can be. Another plant I want to boat mode, but again, I don't know if I have the space for it, is this Rickety Carla. So I showed this in last week's video, but this is how the leaf has expanded. It's still quite soft. You can see how floppy it is. It is quite full of roots, and certainly a lot of it has escaped at the bottom, but I don't think I can boat mode this. So I'm gonna just get it into the next size up. So this one is like a 3-inch pot. So I'm gonna get into the 4-inch pot. Here's something I haven't done in a while. I'm gonna transition something to pon. So this is a Dark Phoenix Self from Jing. So this is her batch of Dark Phoenix Self seedlings. Oh, actually, I might be able to chop it possibly, but I want to get it into pon because it's not sizing up. Like, I've been somewhat boat moding it. I boat moded it once and every leaf has been like pretty much the same size. It's just popped this leaf. Based on the height of the petiole and what it looks like now, I don't expect it to be much bigger than this leaf here. And since my original Dark Phoenix grows so well in pon, I'm just gonna get it into pon. I'm gonna do no drainage and pon for this one, but you can see how much stem is above the substrate. I might be able to get a little chop out of it. I don't know if like anyone's looking for Dark Phoenix, but I think this one is very cute. Like, this one really does look like Dark Phoenix. Like, this new leaf is starting to get a little bit more loby. It's really bumpy. So maybe someone will want that. And these next ones, I think will take me a good amount of time. So it's really good for like conversation. These are my pap seedlings. So this is RA5 crossed with Ralphinum Fort Sherman. And I want to like somewhat boat mode these. So I'm gonna get it into this size pot here. So it's gonna be quite a bit bigger. I recently did it with a few other seedlings from this batch. And I'm just like, I think they have been really good growers and I think they're gonna respond really well. So I've already tested it on 3 little specimens. This is one of them. And this one's really starting to get elongated, starting to get some texture. I'm really excited to see what this one looks like. Here is another one that's also getting quite elongated. The shape is starting to take form. And then there's this one that just popped a leaf. And that one's looking a little bit more textured as well. So I want to do it with as many as possible, except for anything that looks really far behind. So maybe not like this really tiny one, but for sure ones that look like this, I think can go into that 3-inch pot. In this container I have, yeah, I think these ones should be fine, except for this one. This one's looking a little bit sad, but I think I can do the majority of these. So it's going to be like around 10 or so little seedlings. So right now they're in tree fern fiber mixed with perlite and pon, and then they're going to go into tree fern soil. So a little bit more nutritious, a little bit more dense. And really quickly, I just want to show you one plant that we're not repotting today, but I need to document this. It's so freaking cute. So in the spring, we got a little seedling from our friend Dania, and it was a King of Spades red crystal. And it's bred by her, so it was like a King of Spades that she had gotten from, I think it actually came from the same place that we got ours from. So it came from Ardean Plant, but it was sold through Lauren and then her Tazula red crystallinum, and she sent us a little seedling. So it was like, I think a 4 or 5 leaf little seedling, and the leaves were about like this big. They were like little bean sized things. Look at this new leaf. It's so chubby. I mean, every leaf has been very chubby and very bumpy, and those veins are really nice and thin, but every leaf is super bumpy to the point where I was like, did it get contaminated with luxuriance when I saw this leaf? But it's definitely not a luxuriance hybrid at this point. You can see how velvety it is. Look at how round and cute it is. It's been sizing up so well. This is definitely my best grower for King of Spades red crystals because I have 4. I mean, the other 2 that I just showed, they're pretty good growers, but the one I got from Cartel has been struggling, but this one has been so good. It just will not stop growing. I think it's going to be a flowering size plant within like 6 months, or maybe not. Actually, maybe not. My King of Spades took a really long time to start flowering, but I feel like red crystallinum might be flowering sooner. I don't know, we'll see, but it's going to be like a nice big size really soon because it's been an amazing grower. I don't know if Dania is going to sell any more of these. I really hope she does, but she has been kind of hoarding them, and for good reason, because they're so cute. I love this plant so much. It's right at the front of my tent. This is not the best angle. Hopefully you can see. I'll adjust it if you guys can't see anything. I'm actually getting a really late start to the day. I woke up raring to go. I was so ready to do like everything done by like noon, but my dad randomly texted me and was like, oh, are you home? I might just drop by and see the boys, like the dogs. And I was like, of course. So he came on by and I was just postponing filming a little bit. And then he came by and the dogs are so freaking excited. If there is anyone who loves my dogs as much as I do or more, it's my dad. He is obsessed with Huxley and Doug. So he came by and he played with them for 5 minutes and he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna take them with me. So he took my dogs with him and I just packed up all their stuff. They're gone now, which I feel like I can actually concentrate on filming, but that really broke my momentum. So I just kind of sat there and did nothing for a little bit. I was like, it just kind of broke my motivation. So now it's kind of late, but it's okay because I don't have dogs that I need to like make sure that they go out and play and all that stuff. I just picked up this plant. So I guess we're doing this one first. This one is the red crystallinum Wu 5 Wu 8. And then I'm gonna get that because I grow it in my tent. Gonna get it into the next size up, nothing crazy. And let's pull up a question. Okay, there was a lot of questions on like why I started a YouTube channel in the first place. Kind of like more to do with like the beginning. So let's start with those. Gonna build my leca first. That's gonna go at the bottom for the reservoir. So I started my channel, my first video went live New Year's Day, so January 1st, 2022. So as of right now, it's been 2.5 years. I've kind of like, I don't know, probably most people have done this, but you know, in the beginning of YouTube or like in the early days of YouTube when like there weren't a lot of YouTubers, like big YouTubers, and they were like beauty gurus and things like that, and there wasn't a lot of them. That's when I really fell in love with the idea of YouTube and thought maybe I could be me one day. But I don't really know why I wanted to do it. But one of the very oldest YouTubers I ever watched was, do you guys watch Zoella? Or I guess she's not called Zoella anymore, but Zoe Sugg. She was one of the first YouTubers that I ever really watched like heavily. I just find her so comforting. Like she and I could not be more different, but I find her very comforting. I just realized I need to have a bin for all my dirty pots. So when it was like that style of YouTube, where it's very low production, it's just a talking head in front of camera, that to me is the YouTube. I have really strong nostalgia for that style of YouTube. I'm gonna take some of these leca balls out actually on second thought and just reuse some of these ones. And I always kind of like thought, oh, maybe I'll do that one day. And then I never really gave it serious thought, of course, until Charmaine started her YouTube channel. And it just felt like someone else dipped their toes first, and it feels way less daunting that way. And also at the time, I had been in a job that I was very, very unhappy in. But at the same time, like I cared so much about that job. So it felt really suffocating to care so much about something that is making you really unhappy. So really YouTube was kind of like a way for me to potentially free myself and give me an alternative way. So I started YouTube for fun, but also to give myself an alternative income stream because I don't think I would be doing it for so long if I wasn't able to monetize it. But that's kind of why I wanted to give myself options in life, and I wanted to just try something completely different because I had been working in the coffee industry for 15 years at that point, and I was like, this is all I've ever known, and I haven't learned anything for like years. It had gotten to the point where I'm not learning anything. I'm not developing. All I was doing was teaching because I was a coffee trainer for a specialty coffee company, a roaster, and my whole job was to teach, and I wasn't getting anything out of the job because yeah, I'm teaching people and I do enjoy getting people excited about coffee. And when you get me started talking about coffee, I will not stop and I will get really into it. But then at the end of the day, or after many years, you look back and you feel like your skills are diminished. And I knew I was personally becoming a worse barista every day, like little by little, day by day, because I was always operating at a beginner's level. And I was never really getting to like talk to people who would push me. So I really struggled with that, but my boyfriend was also pushing me to start YouTube. I don't really know how he knew this, but he just had a vision for me and he didn't really communicate that with me, but he was like, I think you're going to be on YouTube. I think you should be vlogging. And this is when I was just on Instagram and I was really into it. I was taking photos of my plants every day. So he actually bought me my first camera that I ever used. on this channel before we had ever had the conversation of YouTube, before I had even thought of YouTube. He bought that before even Charmaine started YouTube, and he was just like, here's a camera. And he was like, you could take pictures of it, you could take video with it, but not really saying like, you should start a YouTube channel. But it was really good because when I started my YouTube channel, I had something to work with. Equipment wise. I will get a little bit more into the equipment side of things a bit later. I need a stick. But yeah, if I look back on my reasons for starting YouTube, it was really not so much for the curiosity of making videos, but the videos being a means to get me out of a situation that I knew was not good for me. But then of course the videos ended up being, and I knew it would be, but it ended up being a really fun new skill for me to learn. As you can tell from my videos, this does not come naturally to me. I didn't have any training before this. So what I did was I decided I wanted to start a YouTube channel. This was in winter of 2021. So right before Christmas, I had a few weeks booked off work, and that's like my annual vacation. I save all my vacation for Christmas time because that's the only time I care about. And then I spent the first week and a half learning Final Cut Pro, because I knew I was going to use Final Cut Pro because I use an Apple computer. I also like use that to buy any like odd bits and pieces of equipment that I need, like a tripod, or I don't know, I forget what I bought, maybe like little attachments, or I don't remember. I kind of just used what I had when I first started, but I took a week to take a Skillshare course for using Final Cut Pro. And then the last week I spent filming. I think I tried to film that video like 3 days. The first time scrapped it, second time scrapped it. I think the third one I actually ended up using, and I spent maybe 4 or 5 days editing that thing, and then I published it and then went back to work. And after that, it was like, I honestly don't know how I managed to do it because I was so overworked, but I still managed to film and edit on the weekends. I think I was really tired, to be honest. I would either film in the evenings, or I would film on Sundays, the day that my videos go live, and then edit throughout the week bits and pieces while working full time. And then I would stay up really late on the weekends trying to perfect it, because at that time I was really slow at editing, really slow at filming. And then after about a month, I was monetized. And after that, it felt a lot more motivating to make videos, because it takes a lot of work, I think, especially if you're not formally trained in it. Like, you, first of all, if you're not used to speaking in front of a camera and you don't have any training in using the video editing software, you're not really good with cameras. I'm very not techie kind of person. I'm just gonna kind of take my time with these repots, by the way, so I'm not just like blasting through them. Even social media does not come easily for me. I can remember so vividly the day that my family got internet. Do you guys remember that time? I know a lot of you would have been like, you know, around the same age as me or older when internet became a thing. You had to use dial-up. I remember I was like, there was a day when the computer guy was coming over to our house and was going to set up internet for the first time. And our house was going to be interneted. I remember I had a violin lesson that day, and I was like so excited for this violin lesson to be over, and I was walking home with my freaking violin as fast as I could so I could get on the internet. To do what? What did we do back then on the internet? We emailed each other. Like, imagine kids in like elementary school, middle school, what you do on the internet, you email each other. That's what we were doing. It's so funny to me that that's what we were doing, like children emailing children for fun. And that was even before like MSN Messenger or like AIM was, or like AOL Messenger. Yeah, that was a time. And everyone would just switch their email addresses like every month, every 3 months, and be like, okay, this is my new email address. Like right now I'm Star Chick, or like Honey Baby Girl with like X's and O's and stuff. So that's the internet I grew up with. So social media and stuff does not come naturally to me. I think if you look at like people who are techie, there's a lot of techie people of my age group. I think I in particular really don't gravitate towards new trends, and I try to like, stay behind and let people try things first. And if it looks cool, then I'll be like the last one to do anything. I think a part of me is like somewhat repulsed by social media. Like I find it really off-putting to have this very it's like it's not real. It's just not real, and it just bothers me, I think, a little bit. I also recognize that it's like not good for me to be so attached to it all the time, and I also don't want to try so hard with social media, so therefore my channel and my Instagram is like very small. I think there are a lot of people even my age, but definitely comes more easily to people in like younger generations, where you know what works for social media and what's going to give you reach and grow your audience and stuff like that. But to me, I mean, in theory, I know what you got to do. You got to make a lot of short form content and use trending audio, and you have to edit it in a way that grabs someone's attention like in the first like half a second, so they stop the scroll and the algorithm likes you for it. I don't know. I just find short form content slightly repulsive. And with YouTube, I never wanted to kind of follow a formula. I never wanted to be clickbaity. And I knew that that would mean that my channel growth would suffer, but I'm totally okay with that, because when I started YouTube, I told myself I would only do it if it was fulfilling for me and if I was having a good time. And when it starts to not become fun, I would have to start to change what I do or stop. So one of the question was like, do you think you're ever gonna quit YouTube? I don't know, maybe. Like, who knows if it's gonna be fun forever. I need to get some saucers. This one's done, by the way. Just gonna get a little bit of great white, which I have prepared. It's kind of all settled at the bottom, but I'm pretty sure, like this murky water, I think it's all suspended here. This stuff that settles at the bottom, I'm 99% sure it's just the carrier for the myco. And that's not actually like, it's not like all the myco has, or all the bacteria in myco have drifted to the bottom, but we're stir it up anyways, but I'm pretty sure it stays suspended in the water. And that one's done. It can go back in my tent. I feel like I got really off topic. Okay, we were talking about why I'm doing YouTube in the first place. Even though it wasn't that long ago, it's kind of hard to go back to that time and tell you for sure what my motivations were, but it was definitely to give me another income stream and also do something that I was really passionate about and really enjoyed and could never get sick of, which is plants and plant care. I think I got really lucky with it in a lot of ways. So first of all, I already had a friend, Charmaine, on YouTube who could like, you know, teach me things, and we will often just message each other and just give each other ideas, like either video ideas, or we would give each other feedback on equipment stuff, like any challenges we're having with the equipment, how we figured out the fixes for it, because like we have the same camera, we now have the same mic, we have a lot of the same stuff. And so when we figure out stuff, oh, we also both edit on Final Cut Pro. When we figure out little tricks and stuff that help make the videos better, we will tell each other that. So that's been really helpful. And also like having someone to make videos with, vlog with, collab with all the time, and she lives like 15 minutes away from me. It's been really handy. And I know we were really fortunate in that. Like Charmaine has joked in the past, and I've joked about this before, we've essentially monetized our friendship, which is kind of crazy. We didn't intend to monetize it. It just turned out that way. And it's not like, you know, those like YouTube friendships where they actually like hate each other in real life. It's not like that whatsoever, but it's kind of funny how that worked out. Okay, there are a lot of questions about editing and equipment. So maybe I'll just start my next kind of broad topic, which is like, if you're going to start a YouTube channel now, what kind of suggestions or advice I would give. And again, a lot of this I just kind of like try to figure out as I go. Because if you look at, actually maybe I shouldn't do the leca first, I'll unpot the plant first. There are like YouTube channels dedicated to this topic, like helping people become content creators and advice like that. And if you look at those videos, I've watched so many of these videos when I was first starting out, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, like what does the process look like? I find that those videos were helpful in a way, but a lot of the stuff didn't really apply to the plant community. And it's so interesting how the plant niche is kind of quite, it's quite different in a way to, I guess, conventional YouTube, like lifestyle YouTube or like techie videos. Like you don't have to have the best lighting. Like look at this, we got a softbox. I have my tent open, which is kind of lighting me. You don't have to have an amazing camera. You don't have to be like super scripted. You don't have to be super aesthetic either. Because that was one thing that really I felt like was a roadblock or kind of a game stopper for me when I was thinking to start my channel, because I was like, I don't like how my house looks. It's really dark. I don't like my decor. It's not aesthetic enough to be on YouTube. And then I just did it anyways. And I find that like nobody really cares. And I think a lot of channels, just in general on YouTube, not just in the plant space, have a lot of like very tightly planned, highly produced videos. And I just don't think it's as important with plants. And probably it's not like so specific to plants, but plant YouTube, there's like pros and cons to it. So one pro for sure is I think that people in the plant community in general are so nice. I mean, I cannot even fathom the generosity of the people, you watching this video. I cannot even fathom how nice you guys are. You guys say the nicest things and you guys are so supportive. And I think it also speaks to the plant community as a whole, or like plant YouTube, plant content being like, this is a place where people go to decompress or whatever. Like you're not here to start arguments. Where was I even going with that? What was the question? Oh, editing, starting a channel. Yeah, so I think, okay, before I get sidetracked again, if you're looking to start a YouTube channel, just do it. I'm telling you, the beginning is the most difficult. Unless you have formal training or you're just an absolute like natural at this, you're gonna suck at the beginning. And I still suck. And here I am still making videos. So if I can do it, trust me, you can do it. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like bumbling my way through it. So I'll give you some of like my thought process or like my approach to making videos. YouTube will change this from time to time. I think it has changed maybe once in the past decade. I don't remember. I wasn't around on YouTube when that happened, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. But the threshold to get monetized is you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours in the last 12 months. So over the last 12 months, you need to have 4,000 hours of video watch time from viewers. And once you hit that, then they will tell you that you're monetized. And then you have to do this whole thing where you like you apply for monetization with Google AdSense, and then they will send you a thing in the mail. I don't really remember what that process was, but it took almost a month for them to like mail me the stuff and me to like, I don't know, deposit, or like they do this like test deposit. I don't really remember what that was like, but it was kind of tedious. And then after that, any videos, any views will be monetized. Like once you hit that threshold, you apply. Once they're officially monetized and you can turn on the monetization check thing on your videos, from then on, the views will be monetized. So while waiting to be monetized, that's where I feel like it feels like the biggest chore. Also because at least I can say for myself, I wasn't super proud. I don't think I've been really proud of any video I've ever put out. But certainly then I was like, oh my gosh, cringe, but I'm gonna upload it anyways. Because the only way for you to get better is to keep doing it. So either you post it or you don't. So if you're really like against posting something that you're not proud of, then you could do the whole film edit and not upload it and then practice again with another thing. But I feel like you do need to upload it just to see the audience reaction, because how people perceive your videos, how people react to it is going to also be a part of the process of whether you continue doing things a certain way or if you want to like just adjust a few things. I would like to say that I've been incrementally improving my videos over the last 2 years, hopefully to be a lot better now than when I first started, but there was no way of knowing how I could have improved it until I actually did it. I mean, some videos you'll make some improvements and then you'll like kind of mess up. You might get new equipment and you don't really know how to use that yet. I think I've only just figured out this microphone and the audio. Like the past few videos I posted, I was not happy with the audio, but I couldn't fix it. Sometimes when you're just like you're new to it and you're just trying to figure it out, you don't see the little things until hindsight, until it's in the past. So every video on YouTube, I feel like, where it's giving advice on how to start the channel, everyone's gonna say, just start it and improve from there. But I always think of that as a kind of a blessing in disguise. So if I'm not super proud of a video and it bombs, like it doesn't really get a lot of views, I am just like, oh, thank God, people aren't watching it and I don't have to feel like the cringiness. You can also think of it that way. This one looks so much cuter in this bigger pot. That one's all done. I'm so sorry, by the way. I am just jumping around topics willy-nilly because I just have so many thoughts and I just can't streamline it very well. So in terms of what to start with, in terms of like what to invest money in, I will tell you what I invested money in at the beginning. So I had that camera that my boyfriend got me, and I guess like it's a popular camera for video making, but it's not a popular camera for vlogging, because the problem with that camera was the viewfinder. So the camera you're on right now, which is another camera he bought me later on, which is like, thank you so much. The camera's like this and the viewfinder flips over, so it faces me when I'm filming, so I can see what the camera is seeing. That one, the original one, the viewfinder doesn't flip around. It only kind of like lifts up slightly. So I can't see the viewfinder with the camera pointing at me. So what I was doing at the beginning, because I couldn't afford a new camera, I would have the camera on a tripod and I would just like build up boxes behind the camera and then place a mirror kind of like a little bit offset so I can see the reflection of the viewfinder, and then that would be how I film. So I couldn't see what you guys were seeing. I could see like a vague reflection of it, like am I in frame, and that's all. I couldn't see if I was in focus. I had like a really crappy little like Amazon ring light, but I much prefer the softbox. By the way, I will link everything I use regularly or will continue to use in the description. That includes tripods, softboxes, the camera I use, the secondary vlog hanging camera I use. Is there anything else? Not really anything else. Like my setup is very simple. I was really lucky because my boyfriend's a photographer, so we just had a lot of camera equipment. I had a Rode VideoMic Pro at the beginning, but unbeknownst to me, I wasn't actually connecting it to my camera. So I thought I was using it, but I actually wasn't using it. If I didn't have that camera, I would just film on my phone. It's totally like the cameras on phones these days are incredible. So it could make really good videos. In fact, a lot of people really swear by the iPhone 15. Is it specifically the Pro? I forget, but they really swear by that as a really good vlogging camera because it's really good stabilization. The image quality is quite good, especially if you're not making like feature films, right? So it's more than plenty to be filming videos with. The only caveat is that you have to keep your memory cleared. You have to film one video at a time and then like clear it off your camera right after. And if I was to invest in any sort of equipment right off the bat, it would be a microphone. I think that, this is my opinion, I think that with plant YouTube, audio is so important. I think audio is like very important across the board. People will click off videos for bad audio, and I am sorry for all the videos in the past where the audio was like peaking and clipping. Sometimes when I edit, it sounds a certain way, and once it's exported, it doesn't sound the same way anymore. I think audio specifically with plant YouTube is so important because so many people don't watch. Like they will put it on and then do plant chores and then glance back at it every now and then, or they'll play it in the background. So if your audio is bad or really like echoey, really harsh, then that can hurt for sure. I think it's definitely, if you're gonna invest anything, invest in a mic. I liked all the mics that I've used. The first two mics that I used, and I probably will still continue to use them every now and then, are Rode mics. So there was a Rode VideoMic Pro that we just had in the house. We had purchased like a backpack full of camera equipment from an art professor, and we bought it for the camera, but in this backpack was this Rode mic. The other one I got like somewhat recently, I got it over Christmas, was the Rode VideoMic Go 2. Again, I'll link all these in the description, but this one I really wanted because it had like the ability to connect via USB-C to other things. So if I was to ever voice over, I could use the same mic that I filmed on and then connect that to my computer and then voice that over there. So it would somewhat sound very consistent. That was my my thought process with that. So those are both shotgun microphones where it's like, it looks like a little tube, and at the end of that tube, that's the microphone, and it's pointing at you ideally. So whatever direction it's pointing at, that's the direction of audio it's picking up. So things like around here or in the back, it's not going to sound the same. It will have that kind of echoey quality. I really am a big fan of the audio quality on Rode microphones. It sounds really like round and warm. Some people like certain types of audio. Like, I don't think it's like one size fits all. Personally, I like a really round, rich kind of audio. With microphones, I found that like it's not really plug and play for anything. You really have to adjust camera settings to match with that microphone. And like case in point, this one, I think I figured it out, but I still have to tweak it a lot in post-production to get the volumes correct and the voice isolation correct. And of course, like certain cameras and certain phones will have better onboard microphones. So it kind of depends on what kind of content you're making. I think if you're making a lot of vlogs where it actually requires the viewer to actively watch your videos, then maybe a microphone's not as important. And certainly microphones can get in the way if you're vlogging. So if you're out and about, a microphone on top of a camera is so conspicuous. It's like look at me, I'm filming. Whereas if you got something like this, it's like, it looks like a little button. What else? You should also have a tripod. I had a really nice tripod. It's not mine, it's my boyfriend's. It's one of those like really legit, like heavy duty camera, like DSLR tripods. I never used it. I very rarely used it for my channel because there's too many adjustments, so it would take too long to set up a shot. So I would say for the last 2 years, the majority of my videos were filmed on like a $20 Amazon like handheld tripod. It's like this big, little short little thing, has legs, you can fold them in and you can use it as like a handheld thing. And when I'm filming in here, I would just sit it on top of a bin, so it would be at this level. And I only recently just got the tripod that you're on now, which is like one that can actually like fully stand up to like standing height. That one I got like Prime Days, maybe it was on sale, so it was maybe like $40. So a tripod, I don't think will be a huge investment. Another big, potentially big investment is software. So if you're on, I don't know what it is for Windows because I don't use Windows. I don't know if there is a video editing software that just comes with Windows. I'm trying to think. There must be, but I don't know what it is. With Macs, it would be iMovie. And a lot of people will just start with iMovie because it's free. It's free software. I never used iMovie when I started. I just went straight for Final Cut Pro because you get a 3-month free trial with Final Cut Pro before you have to buy it. And 3 months is a good amount of time. So by the time 3 months was over, I was already monetized. So I was able to like kind of put money towards like reinvesting back into my channel. For the production quality that I'm producing on a weekly basis, I probably could get away with iMovie because I'm not doing anything crazy with my videos, but I like Final Cut Pro. It's way more powerful, but another caveat with using software like that is that you need quite a powerful computer to work with it. So I was using an iMac when I first started, and that iMac has died. So I replaced that iMac last year with a Mac Studio, which has a way more powerful processor. And that was probably the best investment I've ever made. It was a night and day difference. Editing on a computer that can't handle the software is the worst. You're just dealing with the spinning beach ball all the time. Everything is lagging. You're getting a lot of skip frames every time you watch through, and especially if you're making longer videos like I am. So I guess the computer itself is one thing. I do know people who edit on their phones with like on the iMovie app on the phone. And you can actually do that. It's actually incredible. So I can't really recommend that because I never did it, but I know that it's possible. You can definitely use the music and sound effects on the YouTube library. I did use the YouTube library, I think maybe in the first month or month and a half. And then I bought a subscription to Epidemic Sound, which is where I get my music and my sound effects. I never had to deal with the copyright strikes with the YouTube library, but Charmaine did. And these are like these fake copyright strikes where some random like swindler will say that this music in your video is theirs and they will claim the copyright to it. And then your video monetization will be like paused while you have this dispute going, and they don't actually own the copyright to any of that stuff. I don't know what they're doing, like how they plan on winning it. I don't know what their whole business model is, but that is so frustrating. And they would go after videos that get a lot of views, and I don't know if like you get the money back. Like if you win that dispute, I don't know if you get the money back from the time when your monetization was paused. I have no idea, but I did not want that to happen to me. So I went with Epidemic Sound. You can do a trial. So it's like a 7-day free trial. You can like kind of listen to the music, try it with the video, and from anything you published within that trial is whitelisted. So even if you don't end up buying a subscription, if you published within that trial period, that video, they're not going to copyright strike you. And I quite like the music on Epidemic Sound, and they're always adding to it. One thing I will say is like, I don't love their sound effects. I don't think that it's like a very huge sound effects library, but I don't use a lot of sound effects anyways. Okay, so this one's done too. I don't have enough saucers. Charmaine brought some of these back from California. They're not perfect. They will kind of fit. This will not go all the way to the bottom, but I just need something for it to sit in while I micro it. So this kind of hovers like that. Okay, so in summary, what do you need? You need something to film on, can be your phone, something to edit on, can be your phone, but I've never done it, so I can't say that I recommend it. A nice thing to splurge on is a microphone, and you need light if you don't have good lighting in your house, like good natural lighting. If you have good natural lighting, God bless you. I'm very jealous, but I don't, so I always relied on lighting. When it comes to editing thumbnails and things like that, I always used Canva. I know people will use Photoshop, but I think was like our Adobe subscription like out of date? I don't remember. I know for sure that on my old computer, it will not handle Photoshop and Final Cut Pro at the same time. So I just like, didn't even bother. I just used Canva. There's a lot of questions on like how long it takes me to film versus how long it takes me to edit. So editing obviously takes way longer than filming. For a video like this, how long have I been filming for now? An hour and 20 minutes. I probably should give my camera a rest. I will give my camera a rest after this question. I find that the type of video makes a huge difference. So usually repot and chats are pretty easy to cut through, and I cut so much out of my videos. I say a lot of nonsense, you guys, and when I watch it back, I'm like, what the heck was I saying? And I just cut that whole part out. Sometimes when you're watching a repot and chat and suddenly I'm like holding a different plant, it's because I was speaking nonsense and I decided that nobody needs to hear that. So with my new computer, it's completely changed how long it takes me to edit because it's so much more powerful. It's not even the most powerful Mac Studio you could get, but it was like exponentially more powerful than my previous iMac, because my previous iMac was like the base level iMac. So I have been getting a lot faster, but that's with me doing kind of like the bare minimum, as in like I'm not editing a lot, I'm not doing anything crazy, I haven't filmed like a bunch of different camera angles I need to stitch together, I'm not doing a lot of like montages and stuff like that. I'm definitely not like color grading like crazy on my cameras. I'm pretty much using like the auto everything, auto exposure, auto focus, auto white balance. So my editing has been pretty basic. I could my last video was over an hour long. I had that finished in a day. So usually I'll edit one day and then I just don't want to touch it. Like I need a day in between, at least one sleep in between to kind of go back to it unless I absolutely needed to get it done. And then I would say if I have 2 hours of footage, I could probably get that edited within like 8 hours, or maybe, yeah, 8 hours is like actually sitting down in front of it. The vast majority of the editing is the watching through and cutting out all the nonsense. Even after all this time, I struggle a lot to speak on camera. So I've said this before, when I have a camera pointed at me, my brain capacity shrinks vastly. So if my brain is typically operating at like, I don't know, 10%, as soon as the camera turns on, my brain just goes phew, and then I'm just kind of like operating. How do I compare this to? It's like operating a very simplified version of certain software. So I find myself really difficult to edit. I stumble over my words a lot and then I will like re-say it. So I have to cut out all those times. I have to cut out a lot of ums. I also cut out a lot of my pauses where I just have silence because it's just a personal preference for me. I don't like a lot of just silence in between thoughts. So I kind of tend to talk a little bit slower than the average person, I think. And I also have to pause in between thoughts because my mind doesn't work that fast. And I know a lot of people like that kind of unedited feel and they don't like a lot of editing, but personally, I just can't stand watching I have to watch my videos back, right? I can't stand it when there's too much like just useless, pointless silence in between things. Like a lot of people will not edit that stuff out because it feels a little bit more natural, like you're not editing so much. I think the very heavily cut videos can be a little bit off-putting to people. So my little workaround, because I personally don't like, I don't mind it when other people do it, but I don't like to watch back my videos when there's a lot of just silence or little pauses in between things. I think that I'll like lose interest and I just lose momentum in the video. So I personally like to cut all that out. But I do have a little bit of like a trick that I do. I don't remember where I learned this, but I like to smooth over the audio so it doesn't sound like it's cut. Because there's sometimes you'll like watch a video on YouTube and it's like very heavily cut. So it's like 2 words and then cut and then 2 words and then cut. And it's like a lot of like quick jumps. And it just feels like really like disjointed and you don't feel like it flows and it feels a little bit jarring. So one thing I've learned is that like on Final Cut Pro, and I'm sure this is the same in other editing programs, on the audio clip, at the beginning and the end, you have the option to like fade in the audio or fade out. So if you fade in, then it starts quiet and then fades in. So I'll often do this when like I start a time lapse. For example, like the music is starting. It's usually really low in the background and then I'll like fade it into like a higher volume so it's not just like suddenly music. I'll also do it in between cuts when I feel like there's just like that little pop. If you have a too sudden, it really depends on what words you're saying and like the noises that are coming out of your mouth. Sometimes when you have a sudden cut, there's a little pop and you can hear it's so subtle. So what you can do is you fade in that clip just like I'm talking 0.03 of a second. It's very tiny, but it almost sounds like there's no cut. You can visually see the cut, but you can't really hear the cut. And I feel like at least that is like a little bit smoother for people who are just listening and not watching. Because even if I decided not to cut my videos a lot, there's no working around it because I somehow have trained myself, and I didn't mean to do this, and I wish I wasn't this way, but I have trained myself that when I start to stumble, I will stop. I won't power through it. I will stop talking and start over. And because my videos aren't scripted, I'm going to be doing that all the time. So I cut a lot of that stuff out of the video. I cut a lot of ums out of the video. Sometimes I won't cut them out, but most of the time, we'll say like 90+% of the time, I will cut the ums out. People do say you can train yourself to not say all the time to fill gaps. So whenever you have the urge to say you just stop yourself and just have silence. I have not attempted to train myself not to say but if I really think about it and if I really practice it, maybe I'll be able to stop doing it. See, I'm really trying not to say right now. It's really hard not to say or some version of So how long it takes me to edit really depends on my mood of the day. Sometimes, even if I'm in a good mood, I won't be able to get my words out very well. Sometimes, depending on the subject matter, I will be able to get my words out really well. I find that I have the least amount of like retakes when I'm doing show and tell videos because I'm just showing you my plans, telling you what I think, getting really excited about the plan I'm showing you. I feel like the things that I'm saying aren't as complex. It's very kind of superficial, surface level. Whenever I'm doing the stuff like somewhat of like a informational video, that makes it really, really difficult because I really have to think about my words and the message I'm trying to get across. But when it's just like a, like these are my favorite plants right now, it doesn't really matter. It's really just superficial, like I said. So how long it takes me really depends on the content matter. It also takes me longer to do vlogs. I like to go through and pick my little key moments, put a little montage at the beginning. I have to like change the audio for different devices sometimes. It's a little bit more difficult, but I enjoy editing vlogs the most. I also enjoy editing collabs with Charmaine a lot because whenever there's two people, it's always easier to edit the audio because it's a conversation. It flows a little bit better. But when it's just one person talking to the camera, like for me, I know I'm gonna have a really hard time editing this video because I got off topic all the time. So my favorite types of videos are vlogs. Those are historically not the best performing videos on this channel, but I really like doing it, so I'm never gonna stop doing it. Okay, just quickly great whiting this. Then I gotta chuck it back into my tent, but I need to turn off my camera for a second because I know it's overheating. So I'll take a brief break and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Bad news is I got hungry. What the heck? I forget where I was, but I feel like I kind of exhausted a lot of topics. Let me pull out my questions once again. Oh yes, we were talking about editing. I actually find the editing process a lot more fun than filming. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate filming, but I feel like I'm learning more. It's more self-development within the editing process because I just get to learn like a new program and just experiment with different things. I mean, you probably can't see a lot of the experimentation that I'm doing on your side of the screen, but I am doing some experimentation on my side. I'm gonna work on separating this Ace Carla next. One question was like, will you ever outsource editing to like hire an editor to take care of your videos? I don't see myself ever really doing that. The reason being, I don't hate doing it. It's like, it's very time consuming, but I feel like I am learning stuff while I'm doing it and I can, I don't know, really change the way my video looks. And there's just like something very specific of how do you want yourself to come across, and an editor might not know that. I also think it would be so embarrassing for anyone to see like the outtakes of what doesn't make it into video. Okay, so this one has a root system. There's two growth points, one here and one right here. I think I'm just gonna cut it right down the middle. So here it is. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm just gonna cut it right there. And now it is two plants. If I can just untangle these roots. Yeah, like this and like this. I'm wondering, should I get it into the medium pot? I mean, it's not gonna fit. It will fit in this, but I probably would have to repot it again fairly soon. So definitely this one, I think I can get it into this size pot. Now, where was I editing? I would call myself like somewhat creative. I've always kind of grown up doing arty kind of things. So whether it be music or actually like fine art, drawing, painting, I don't think I'm creative in the design aspect, like creating something from my mind. I think I can play music that's already like written for me. I can, like draw something by looking at something, but I'm really not the kind of person who can just create something out of thin air. My sister is definitely a lot more creative in that aspect. She was in one of my vlogs where she does video game, like 3D animation for video game characters. She's always been way more creative in that aspect. So for me, I think I'm more creative than like logical. So the editing process definitely does do something to fulfill me. So yeah, I don't think I would ever outsource editing. Not to mention it's really embarrassing for anyone to see the stuff that doesn't make it in. I have been feeling these days like a little like an itch, or like I miss creating art or like even music. I've been really craving playing an instrument these days, and I don't have any instruments in this house. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on YouTube, but I'm classically trained piano player. I never want to say pianist because it sounds like penis, but I am a classically trained pianist. So I have a performer's diploma in piano, where I still say, even though it's been like over 15 years since I got that diploma, I still think that was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. So I have my what's called an ARCT diploma, which is an associate of the Royal Conservatory of Music in Toronto. Looking back, that whole thing was so difficult. It's crazy what they put these children through, like how much examination. It's not even just playing the piano, but like the history exams you have to take, the harmony exams. So like you have to do history and harmony is like you're basically kind of writing music, and there's like a chord progression thing. I don't even really remember. I remember it being so difficult, and you have to go in and write these final exams and like write classical music. At this point, I don't even know if I can even read sheet music anymore. I probably could if you give me like a couple days, but off the top of my head, I don't think I could. But even now, I've been craving playing the piano, and I haven't craved that in the last decade, but I really crave it now to the point where I'm like, should I get a ukulele? I also haven't painted in a really long time, but video making I think is also somewhat of an art form. The way I do it is not very artful, but it is kind of creative in that way. So yeah, that's something that I want to stick with. I'm really curious what this looks. It kind of looks like variegation. Not that if it was variegation, I don't think it will persist, but yeah, it's really strange. Maybe it is variegation. It's not spider mites though. As of right now, I don't have spider mites in my tent, but yeah, it's really interesting. Just show that to you one more time. Another question was, did you know how to edit before YouTube? And the answer is no. I think I've already talked about this, but I learned on Skillshare, and I'm still learning because that program is vast. There's so many things that I haven't even utilized. Other advice for someone who's just getting into it. So one thing that has been kind of helpful for me in the beginning, I kind of touched on like, you know, having Charmaine being the first one and like doing videos together and sharing an audience in a way. One thing that I did do, which wasn't the like trajectory that I had planned on, but when I first started YouTube, I had at that point, I think around 10,000 followers on Instagram. So that definitely helped to just kind of get the word out that I started YouTube. But like I said, like I don't use Instagram like my life depends on it. I did post a lot more consistently back then, but you know, it wasn't like I had an amazing, crazy audience at that point to really jumpstart my channel, but it didn't hurt. I'm not saying like you should wait until you have an Instagram audience, but if you have an Instagram audience, utilize that to feed or funnel people to your YouTube. I would also say like don't get plans, film yourself doing plans that you yourself don't enjoy. So if you see other videos that are doing well that focus on certain types of plants, let's say like Hoyas or Monsteras, don't focus your videos on that if that's not something that gets you excited, because I think at the end of the day, we're just looking to watch people do stuff that they really enjoy. And for me, that's anthuriums primarily. So I feel like my channel has been mostly focused on anthurium, especially in the last year, because they get me the most excited and I feel like I have the most to say about them. Like as much as I enjoy other genera, sometimes I don't even know the names of them. Like my cacti and succulents, I don't know the names of probably 90% of them. So that is definitely an advice I would give, is don't grow plants that you don't enjoy growing just to be able to say like, I'm making content for it. I'm not saying that it's wrong to do, but that wouldn't be what I would advise someone to do if they're just starting a channel now. Another thing I've seen people say is like, do I even have a big enough collection to start a channel? If you have a collection of any sort, and by collection I mean more than just a handful of plants. Like if you have 10 plants, you have enough to start a YouTube channel with. If you have enough plants to perform plant care, that's enough to start a YouTube channel with. You don't need to be posting every single week, right? Like that will get you monetized faster, get you those like watch hours quicker, get you those subscribers quicker. But if it's really just to post videos and like be a part of the community in that way, 10 plants is enough to start a YouTube channel. I'm gonna quickly make a label for this because it's not that identifiable just by looking. AOS crossed with Carla Blackier, brackets, woohoo. Well, that turned out really stinking small. Oh well. I really should do this after the fact because sometimes I get dirt underneath the label and the whole thing looks dirty. But that's okay. Another thing that people ask is like, where do you get the knowledge that you have from, in the context of like, I don't know if I know enough to start a YouTube channel. If you think I know a lot, I'm afraid I'm giving you the wrong impression, and I'd never want anyone to come on this channel and think that I think I'm an expert on anything. I'm not an expert on a buttload of crap. I think the best thing about the plant community is that because plants are living things and they evolve and they change and adapt, no one can actually be black and white sure of anything. And anyone who tries to like make it super black and white, you can just kind of filter them out. I don't even listen to those types of people. So I feel like the best thing about plant care is that you're constantly learning, and just when you think you know how to take care of one thing, you're gonna have a specimen that reacts differently to that set, you know, regimen of care. So I feel like as long as you approach plant care with enough curiosity and adaptability and try not to say like this is the black and white best way to do anything, then I feel like that's a great place to start with for YouTube, because we're all learning together. If you look back on when I first started my YouTube channel, the way I grow plants now is so different to then. So as long as I feel like you frame it in a way like, you know, this might change, or like I'm just trying this out or whatever, then I feel like you're not boxing yourself into this little hole that you can't, you know, change after that without sounding like a hypocrite. One question was, what was the worst YouTube investment you put money in? And what is the ugliest aeroid you saw? Ugliest aeroid you saw. Right off the top of my head, Philodendron Pariso Verde. I hate that plant. I hate it. Okay, what was the worst YouTube investment you put money into? I feel like I've been very careful of what I splurge on. So there wasn't any like catastrophically bad investments, I think. Anything that I spent a good amount of money on, and I'm talking like, let's say I put in a few $100s into something, or like $1,000 into something like a camera or a computer, no regrets on that. Like I love my computer now. It cost me a pretty penny, but there was no way, there's no getting around it. I needed that computer and I love it. The worst investment I put into was, okay, so when you get into YouTube and like try to learn how to edit videos, you'll go into this rabbit hole of like very techie kind of YouTube editing, camera, software, all that stuff, which they're not wrong in what they say, but it can be a lot. It can be a lot. You can be doing a lot for very little get back. You're not getting that much back from it. Like titles and transitions and stuff like that. I went on one of those, I think it was, might have been Artlist. I forget which site it was, but it was one of those like title packs where you get all these like little, you know, like I'm putting one right here. People will sell like these packs of them, and it looks great. They'll put this little trailer and you'll kind of see a sample of it in action. It looks really great. But when you're actually putting it on a video, sometimes it looks like a little bit too much, like you're doing too much. So I had purchased one of these. It wasn't a ton of money. I think it was like $20 or something like that. But some of these packs can get really expensive. I think that was probably the biggest waste of money. So what I ended up using now is like, so Charmaine had gifted me I think it was 3 months trial of Envato Elements. So In that 3 months, you can download whatever. It's not just these transitions and stuff. You can download LUTs, which is like color grading. You can download fonts. There's a lot of stuff on there, and I just downloaded and tried whatever I could, and that was a much better use of money than just buying a pack. Just like picking it up, adding it to your cart, not knowing what it would look like, not being able to try it. And I feel like these kinds of things have a very small effect on your channel, and that's not something I would recommend purchasing, to be honest. Just use what comes with your editing software. Okay, so there's a few questions on sponsorships. So one question was, how big was your channel before you started to see sponsorships? I personally see sponsorships kind of like two categories. So one is just like they send you product for like free product for review. They don't pay you any money. They don't really give you guidelines on what you should say or shouldn't say. And then there's actual sponsored videos where they pay you dollars and you kind of have to follow a creative brief, or a lot of companies will have a creative brief that they want these ad reads to, the points they want you to cover, usually in your own words. YouTube will not differentiate between the two. So if you got a product, let's take Soltech for example. So Soltech sent me lights for me to try, to make videos with and to talk about, but they gave me no guidelines. There was an expectation that I would talk about it, but whether that be positive or negative, they had no say on that. YouTube will still require you to check off this box where it says like you received something of monetary value in order to make this video. So I feel like for those like product, like free product, oh my gosh, Andrea, this cutting is, do you see that chunk? That is one brave girl, I tell ya. Look at how dicey that was. I have never made an anthurium cutting this thin. It's basically a disc. That is so brave. Wow. Props to you. She made a dicey cut and it really paid off. I think I'll put it in the 3-inch pot. Yeah, I think that looks good. So those product ones, I think I pretty much started getting right away, and I will say I don't take over like probably 95% of the like sponsorship collab kind of deal offerings. Sometimes I get the most random ones. Like the weirdest one I got the most recently was like a food dehydrator. I'm like, what part of my channel did you think would like go with a food dehydrator machine? I was tempted, not gonna lie, but I didn't go for it. I think these things started coming in as soon as like within a few months, I would say. There's a lot of these like grow light ones that you'll get, like the ones that are like, you know, those 3-pronged ones. Usually they don't pay, they will just send you the product. I find it kind of annoying when they expect a dedicated video in exchange for really probably like product that costs them $5-10 to make. I find that a little bit insulting. So I always say no to making a dedicated video. And I think part of my ability to do that came from other creators telling you that you have the like they've approached you, right? So you have the ability to negotiate terms that work for you within reason, right? Like you can't really say like at a channel my size, it's gonna cost you $10,000 to get a ad read on this channel. That's just not realistic. That's not what my rates are. I think no matter what size your channel is, as long as you're getting some views, you will get offers, and some of them are really freaking weird. At this point, free stuff is still like kind of enticing at first glance. And you know, it's always a little bit flattering, I guess, when somebody wants you to endorse their product and send you stuff, but I turn the majority of them down because I don't want a lot of stuff entering my home, and also just thinking like just shipping stuff for the sake of shipping it, even though I don't think I'm gonna really get much use out of it. I should hope that anyone watching this channel knows that I only take sponsorships that I really align myself with and I think I'm gonna use. I don't endorse, I don't really endorse anything that I don't think highly of. So let me try to think, like the main sponsor of this channel, the one that I've taken the most sponsorships from, is Palm Street, and I freaking love Palm Street. I love the team. They've been so easy to work with, and the thing I like about them is that I am so scared of sponsorships because I'm so scared of coming off as disingenuous, and I'm scared of just letting them down. Like my ad read, my whatever, my talking about it resulted in nothing for them. That puts a lot of pressure on me. So I don't like to take sponsorships for that reason, because I feel a lot of anxiety from it. But Palm Street has been so easy to work with. They don't give me anything to, like, they don't tell me what to say. They actually watch my videos, so they actually know my personality, the kind of videos I'm often creating, the kind of plants I'm talking about. They just give me a lot of freedom, and I've been so appreciative of them. They're my favorite sponsor of all time. The first paid sponsorship I ever did was Brooklinen, which was like a bed sheets. Like, I still use those sheets. I really like them. But that was the first time anyone paid me money to make or do an ad read of something. I think my channel was somewhere around 5,000 subscribers by the time I got my first like paid sponsorship. Other brands will offer you like a commission. So if you have a coupon code, then you can earn commission. So I will earn commissions on anyone who buys Mother Lights through my links, anyone who buys Soul Tech Light through my links. I don't think that your subscriber count counts as much as your views in relation to your subscriber count. I was gonna go somewhere with the sponsorship thing. I forget. Oh yeah, so I don't love sponsorships because, like I said, it's a lot of pressure, and I just don't want ad after ad after ad on this channel. I don't fault any creator for doing that. And I disagree with anyone who like gets mad at creators for having ads on their channel, because this is like, if they're a full-time creator, this is part of how they make money. But I personally find it too much stress to do an ad read, so I try to space it out as much as possible, because I get so stressed. Like, I'm just like sweating in front of the camera whenever I'm doing an ad read, even though I know what I'm saying is my honest opinion. So I try to avoid doing excessive sponsorships unless I'm super excited about getting in with that product, like receiving that product or talking about that product if I feel like it really aligns with my channel, which I feel like at this point, because my anxiety is so high with sponsorships, that there's very few that pass that test for me. It's freaking 5 o'clock. How long have I been filming? Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a lot of video to edit. I haven't even touched my seedlings yet. I need to start potting faster. I think I'm gonna just not do a leca layer on these because I just can't be bothered. Okay, so there are a few questions around like being comfortable in front of the camera and like fear of judgment, stuff like that. So if you guys have been here from the beginning, I mean, Charmaine and I both started out headless because that's how we felt the most comfortable being on camera. After all this time, I am still not comfortable being on camera. So there's that. But being headless definitely helped. I can say for a fact, I would not have been able to post videos on a weekly basis if I had a head. So I loved that. I love that the majority of people were very understanding and welcoming. And there was obviously the people who were like, your channel could do so much better if you just wasn't like a body and like a mouth. Well, I don't care. Also, if anyone's gonna start YouTube and that's what they're afraid of, then just be headless, because it took me a while to be head full. And I'm still very, like I said, as soon as the camera turns on, my body just starts to shut down and my brain doesn't work the same way. I start to get hungry inexplicably. I should hope that I come across on camera the way I do in real life. Charmaine has said before that I do come across on camera the way I do in real life. I don't know if that's the case, but you know, there's no way for me to know, because you know, nobody really has a perfectly aligned vision of how they think they come across and how they actually come across. So I think she probably is a better judge of that than I am. And when it comes to getting over the fear of judgment, I wouldn't say that I'm like scared. Am I scared of judgment? I think part of me not feeling like really scared of judgment is because I think I'm older, and the older you get, the less you care about what people think. There are definitely opinions and things like that on certain things that I do care a lot about. The things like I really care about is like, how does my video make someone feel? I care that what I'm saying is not like a blatant lie. So I try to make disclaimers like, this is my opinion, this is my experience. I feel like there's not a whole ton you can judge someone on, and maybe I'm just underthinking it, but the fear of judgment was a lot stronger at the beginning because I knew my videos were garbage. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm pushing 40, like I'll be 40 in a couple years. And I just don't really care what people think as much as I did in my 20s, for example. And also part of that is the niche that we're in. Like, it's not really about me at the end of the day. Yes, like technically I'm the main character of this channel, but it's about the plants, right? It's not really about me. I'm just a supporting character in this whole thing. So I think that takes some of the pressure off as well. If you were to get canceled for something, what would it ideally be? I don't think there's like any ideal way to get canceled. Because if you get canceled, then people hate you. And that's not a good feeling. Even if you don't care what people think, that still sucks. Because if you get canceled, in someone's eyes, you did something unforgivable. So what would be an okay reason to get canceled for? I guess the best reason to get canceled for, and it would still suck, is to get canceled for something that you didn't do, and then later on you get exonerated for it because it's like not actually true or something. I don't know. There would be no good reason to get canceled. I don't want to get canceled. That would suck. I would rather just see myself out quietly than get canceled. And I don't see this channel ever getting so big that it's like so lucrative that I couldn't give it up and I would just lose sight of all my morals. Like, I just don't see that happening. The nice thing about plant YouTube is that it's like really easygoing, but at the same time, it's not that lucrative. So, you know, it's like give and take. Like, there's pros and cons to it. It's not like you're gonna get lucrative deals like you would like a big YouTuber in the beauty space. Like, they have these $1 million contracts. That's just not happening with plants. So it takes some pressure off, but you're never gonna get so big that you're just like living in a mansion. Another thing I feel like I really lucked out on, which I can share with you if you're starting out a channel, is that YouTube seems to really like long videos. The algorithm rewards long content, and my opinion on that, and I'm pretty sure this is true, is that in looking back, I always had longer than average videos, not as long as Charmaine's, but my videos are longer than like 20 minutes. They're usually like averaging around 45 minutes or so. The reason why I think that YouTube will suggest it to people is because the view duration is longer. So even though the, I forget, not view duration, it's a percentage, right? So like if you have a 10-minute video and then the average person sits through 5 minutes of it, then it's like a 50%. I'm blanking on the term, but let's just call it view duration. So the longer that duration is, the more YouTube likes it because you're getting them to sit on the platform for longer, watch more ads, etc., etc. So longer videos, even if someone sits through 30% of it, let's say they sit through 30% of an hour-long video, that's still 20 minutes. And that's 4 times longer than 50% of a 10-minute video. So when I first started YouTube, my intention wasn't to just create long videos for the sake of creating long videos. It was because I don't come into this with a plan, and I like to talk about plants. And when I watch YouTube videos, it's typically, I have it playing on my phone while I'm doing my makeup, when I'm getting ready in the morning. I don't like to engage with it. I don't like to have to be actively watching it. I like to just have the audio. So I think, inadvertently creating content or like the style of video that I would have playing in the background. And that ended up working pretty well for me. And I will say almost all of the time, the longer my videos are, the better they perform long term. And that can be because like people come back to finish watching the video, so that counts for an extra view or whatever. But typically those longer view durations will cause YouTube to recommend it to a new viewer. So if you're first starting out, yes, longer videos are almost exponentially more time consuming than a short video. Whenever I make a 30-minute video, it feels like nothing. Like, I feel like I just barely had to work for it. But when I make an hour-and-a-half long video, it's a project. And also my computer starts to struggle a bit more. So you gotta weigh out, like, is it worth it? I think technically at some point you start to make less per hour, but maybe like long term, YouTube will like keep recommending your videos. It will continue to do well over the many months to come. But if you're just starting out, I probably would recommend, like if it was my friend and was like, I'm just starting on my YouTube, what should I do for the first 5 videos? I would recommend the first 5 videos to be like longer than 30 minutes, just so you can get those watch hours in as quickly as possible, because making videos for free, it's not a good feeling. Even if you're monetizing, you're not getting a lot of money, but you're getting something, it feels like you're getting a little bit back. But after a while, when you get into like a kind of a workflow, kind of you get into a rhythm and you do a lot of the same things, then you can take the effects that you applied to one video and just copy it onto the next video and then just start cutting from there. It can save you some time. I probably, with the new computer and just me doing it over like almost 150 videos, I'm probably doing it in half the amount of time that when I first started YouTube. So there's that. You will only get faster. And I'm like such a believer in every part of my life that skill building only comes through repetition. So with a lot of things you want to improve on, you can't really fast forward. You just have to go through the pains and be as observant as possible in the process. Be engaged with what you're doing so that you can actually build on it. But if you're just trying to make shortcuts and get faster for the sake of being faster, that in the long haul or like in the bigger picture is not going to result in a more skilled version of you. So as much as it doesn't feel good to do something and then like sit there and dissect it and like figure out all the things that you did not like about how you did it and all the errors that you made and where you could have done better, it's kind of necessary. Like it doesn't feel good to just kind of dog on yourself, but I think it's healthy in some way if you actually want to improve at whatever skill you're trying to learn. Is there any point in starting a channel now? Yeah, like I said so many times before, I am not for everyone, and I think that there's going to be a, like if you're into plant YouTube, there's going to be a creator for you. Maybe that creator doesn't exist yet or isn't on YouTube yet, but there is someone for you. And because plant YouTube isn't just here to teach each other about plants, it's to like, I think companionship is such a big draw for plant YouTube, for people to watch plant YouTube, that I think that there's always space for more people. Because I even had that thought when I started my plant YouTube like back in 2022. That's like really late in the game. And I'm like, it's so saturated with people. Is there any room for me? And I definitely think there is, specifically because like there's an endless amount of like content to create. I feel like I have like so much more to say, but it's getting so late now and my camera's about to explode. Let's just answer questions while I do the rest of the... Okay, so the only plant I haven't done yet is my dark phoenix self, which is, I think I'll just do this off camera, but I'm gonna move this to pond and I'll give you guys updates. You guys have seen a pond transition before. I will just like wash off the roots and get it into, what I'm gonna do is this glass vessel with pond. Gonna inoculate with great white as usual. I mean, you guys have seen that before. So I'm gonna finish potting up the seedlings and finish answering some questions. And I think I'm gonna tap out after that because I'm getting really tired. My knees really hurt. What's your go-to Taco Bell order? I will say we have Taco Bell here, but like not really. They're like franchise. They're not like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like real proper Taco Bell. They're always in a restaurant that's split with like, is it KFC? Something like that. And it's like, just doesn't feel real. This one's kind of, I said I wasn't gonna boat mode this. Why not? Let's just see what happened. I think they don't even do this anymore, but those Doritos tacos I used to really like. And I don't even know if I've even had one, or maybe I just really like the idea of it. But probably a Crunchwrap Supreme would be my go-to Taco Bell order. Couple of questions surrounding burnout. Because I mentioned burnout in my last video, in that context, I was talking about like plant burnout, not necessarily, it was kind of tied in with YouTube if I really think about it, but I was burning out. I do this usually every year at summertime because I hate summer. I cannot stress to you how much I hate summer. I'm gonna just really boat mode this. Hold on. We're gonna, because I was gonna plant this a little bit lower down, but I'm worried that when it puts out a bigger leaf, it's just gonna smush into the side of the pot. So I'm gonna plant it pretty high, so it's gonna have like an ocean amount of room to grow into. We will see. I'm gonna trust the boat mode process. So burnout, yeah, like I hate summer. Nothing floats my boat in the summer. I'm just like begging for it to be over the whole time. And then with anthuriums, they don't grow the best for me in the summertime. They will grow, but I don't get the most impressive growth. I don't get a lot of size up. I feel like the growth rate also kind of like slows down. So there's just not as much satisfaction in the summer for me versus fall and winter. I love fall and winter so much. I just, oh, like it gives me butterflies just thinking about it, that it's like coming up. We're almost at fall and winter time. So part of the burnout for me in the summertime is like, yeah, there's not like as much exciting stuff going on with my anthurium. I feel physically uncomfortable being in here. I don't want to do anything. And so like I made a lot of shorter videos. It also so happened that I started a new job, which is like a very, very, very part-time job, 1 day a week. But that just kind of threw my schedule off a little bit. So I just felt like I had to play a little bit safe and make shorter videos so I know I can get things uploaded in time and not be like working into the night, working really, really late hours. I've been through burnout enough times and for various different reasons. Some of it had to do with like being so swamped with work that I just was so burnt out in general. But with plant burnout specifically, I've been through it enough times. Sometimes it had to do with pests, sometimes, I don't know. Because plant care is part of my job in the terms of YouTube, sometimes you just feel like I need a break and I need to not touch you for a second until I miss you, and then I'll come back to you and it'll be fine. So I know that I've cycled through that before and I know that it'll pass. So what I do with plant burnout is just like I water. I will do brief pest inspections, and that's when I found thrips this last time. And then I will just do the bare minimum and then go about my life. But I try to make the other side of my life more fulfilling. So like maybe start learning a new skill. I was doing pasta. I was like visiting farmers markets. I was trying to like make a lot of stuff from scratch. I'm in like my making from scratch era. So I feel like this kind of exercise really separates my brain from plants. And then when I come back, I feel more refreshed. Once you shared that you'd give yourself 2 years with it to replace your income, what is the status? It being YouTube. In a video I did with Charmaine where I talked about quitting our jobs, becoming self-employed, we did at different points in our lives. I said that I would give myself 2 years of being self-employed to see if I could make it self-employed before tapping out and saying I need to go back to like a traditional salary job. So it wasn't like specific to YouTube, but YouTube is part of my self-employment. We're now, we've passed the 1 year mark. We're like a year and change now. So YouTube is not the only thing that I do. I also do, oh my gosh, my knees really hurt. I also do copy consulting on a contract basis, and I sell plants here and there. There's like a multiple little things that I do. Copy consulting was meant to be the main thing that I do, the most lucrative part, but with these projects, they have stalled, they're on hold, they move a lot slower than I had expected them to. So it hasn't been nearly as reliable as YouTube, surprisingly. So YouTube has been the most like stable part, I think, of my self-employment. Like even though I on average make less than before I became self-employed, my earnings now is higher than when I first became self-employed. So I have to believe that if I stick to it, it would eventually get better. I cannot tell you how grateful I am and how lucky I am to have my boyfriend who helps support me as well, because he works a salary job and he provides the stability that I need. There were a couple questions asking like how much I make and stuff. And I'm just like not, as much as I'm into transparency, I'm not super comfortable sharing that because I just don't talk about that in general, like earnings into anyone in my life, except for the people that it actually affects. So yeah, I will say that YouTube is not enough. If it was enough to pay all my bills, I would just do YouTube, but it's not. So I would say that if in 2 years I'm not making as much money as I'd like to, I'd still try to keep up with it, but add additional income streams. I briefly mentioned taking a job. I work 1 day a week for a company, so I am on payroll. That has helped tremendously in providing a little bit of stability. So that means that if I'm not enjoying it, they're like, what is the point? I am making less per hour on YouTube than I would be if I worked like I don't know, like a minimum wage job. So it really comes down to A, enjoying it, B, being part of a community. Am I doing numbers or letters? C, being able to do something creative that is fulfilling, and D, having like multiple income streams that they don't all take up a full-time amount of time. So yeah, it's going okay. Not going brilliantly, but it's going okay. Okay, I think I'm gonna do one more seedling. This question is from Kayla. How do you motivate yourself to film when it's tempting to keep the peaceful time to yourself? I think that there are more plant chores than I could ever have the time to film. And if I try to film it all, I would get really behind on the plant chores. So I do prioritize keeping some plant chores to myself. So it's not that like I try to film every plant chore that I do. I probably film less than I probably should. So someone like Charmaine might be like, that should have been filmed, like you could have made a video out of that. But you know, if I filmed everything, I probably wouldn't enjoy this hobby as much. So I try to make sure that I allow myself that time to do repots with just like earbuds in, listening to podcasts. But mainly I do a lot of this kind of stuff just on my off time, not filming, and do it off camera because I just find it like really peaceful. It's time for me to catch up on other YouTube videos. And if I didn't do it, probably would feel like this hobby was way more of a job than it actually feels. And while it would be nice to be able to document everything, I have to kind of draw the boundary somewhere, I guess. Okay, so we have boat moded 9 of these seedlings. I will keep you guys updated. I'm gonna great white these all off camera because, oh, do I have enough? These IKEA bins are only just slightly tall enough for these pots. There's something about a fresh, clean IKEA bin that is so satisfying. So this is going to be my Pappy bin. I don't know if I'm going to regret filming this video this week because I actually have a really busy week ahead. So I don't even really remember everything I said in this video. I'm going to look back on this and be like, I wish I talked about this or I forgot to talk about that. Anyways, I'm happy out now. I am so hot. And I'm really freaking hungry. I still find it so funny that my dad came and kidnapped my dogs, but it's actually really good that he did that because I ended up filming for so many hours. I hope you guys enjoyed this repot and chat. Literally nobody asked me to do this. I just wanted to get some thoughts out because I know for a fact that some of you guys are looking to start a YouTube channel. I don't know who it is, but somebody went on my Amazon storefront and ordered a Rode wireless mic. Don't know who it is, but that's a really nice mic. So I hope to see you launch your YouTube channel soon if you haven't done so already. Hopefully there's some stuff here that was at least interesting for you, if not helpful. And of course, I don't proclaim to be the YouTube expert, but I've been doing this for 2.5 years and I would like to think that I've made some observations that have been helpful to my channel. So hopefully that can be helpful for you guys. But with that said, I'm going to go stuff my face with pasta. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'll see you in the next one. Mwah!